Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. We love to bring you fascinating ideas and really unpack what matters. Well, today we're diving into something pretty fundamental: the power of mindful breathing in Buddhist thought.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? We've got some great material here, and what we want to explore with you is how this simple act of breathing, something we all do, can really become a pathway to inner peace, greater well-being, even success in life, drawing on both ancient wisdom and what modern science is uncovering.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The material we're looking at starts with this really powerful image. It describes our minds, that busy, often overwhelming space, like a vast, roaring river, and then it says your breath. Think of it as a sturdy bridge, offering a safe passage across that inner turbulence.
I love that image.
Yeah, it's really evocative, right? So, from a Buddhist perspective, why is the breath considered this crucial link between our physical body and our mind?
I think the key here is this Buddhist idea of interconnectedness, how our physical state and our mental state, they're not separate, they really influence each other profoundly. And the breath is unique because it's both a biological process, right? It just happens automatically in your body. But at the same time, it's something you can consciously control with your mind. It's that constant, ever-present bridge between those two. Like, think about it. When you're anxious, your breath gets all shallow and rapid.
Right.
But if you consciously slow it down, you deepen it, you notice your mind starts to calm.
It's like a direct line. Yeah.
It is.
Now, speaking of calming the mind, the material mentions the Buddha's own experience under the Bodhi tree, how his focus on his breath helped him through this incredible inner turmoil, ultimately leading to his enlightenment.
Yeah, quite an endorsement.
It is. So what is it about this seemingly ordinary act of breathing that makes it so powerful? Why did it play such a central role in such a transformative event?
I think that's a great question. It makes us think about how we engage with our own inner world. The Buddha, right, he was searching for understanding, he was grappling with these really profound existential questions, all these internal struggles. And his focus on the breath, it wasn't about trying to suppress those thoughts or emotions. It was more about observing them with a sense of detachment, almost like watching clouds passing by. And his breath, it became his anchor in the present moment. So he wasn't getting swept away by that constant flow of thought. And that sustained, gentle attention, that's what created the space for him to really gain these deep insights and reach that understanding. It's really about the power of simple, consistent awareness.
Yeah, and it really resonates with that idea of our own minds as this kind of turbulent river,
Exactly.
always churning with thoughts.
Yeah.
We're planning, we're remembering, we're judging. It makes you wonder, why don't we use this tool, this breath, more often to find some stillness amidst all that chaos?
I think that's a great question for all of us to consider. That chaotic nature of thoughts. It's something we all experience, right? And in today's world, with all the information overload, the constant stimulation, it can feel even more overwhelming. Our attention's being pulled in a million directions. And our breath, it offers us this consistent refuge. It's a focal point that's always right there. It's about choosing to direct your attention, even just for a few moments, to the reality of your inhale and exhale. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, just notice your next breath coming in and then going out. What does that feel like? It's like stepping onto that bridge.
And that's what I find so fascinating about this whole idea. The material highlights this duality of breathing, right? It's something we
Yeah.
do automatically, unconsciously, but we can also consciously control it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And this makes it a tool for self-mastery. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So because breathing operates on these two levels, we can use that conscious control to actually influence those automatic bodily processes.
Right.
Like if you consciously slow down your breathing, that simple act triggers these physiological changes, calming your nervous system. And then in turn, that shift in your body impacts your mind, reducing anxiety and stress. It's a beautiful feedback loop. You're using something that usually happens without you even noticing to actually intentionally shift your whole internal environment. And you're shifting it towards greater calm, greater balance.
Yeah. And I love the symbolism the material talks about: inhalation representing renewal, possibility, and then exhalation symbolizing release and surrender. This cyclical nature mirroring the rhythm of existence itself. It's pretty poetic, isn't it?
It is. It is. That cyclical nature of the breath. I mean, it holds deep meaning across cultures and traditions. It really is a microcosm of life, that constant taking in and letting go. Inhalation. It's about bringing in what you need, oxygen for your body, or a fresh perspective for your mind. Exhalation. It's releasing what you no longer need, physical toxins, or even emotional tension. And by consciously engaging with this cycle, you become more attuned to the natural rhythms of life, the ebb and flow of everything.
I also love the image the material brings up of the lotus flower blooming in muddy water. It uses that to represent purity and enlightenment, emerging from suffering through mindful breathing. It's such a striking visual.
Yeah, it really captures this idea, right? The lotus pushing through the mud to blossom symbolizes the potential for transformation within each of us, even amidst all the difficulties of life, the sometimes murky waters of our own minds. Mindful breathing, it's a path for us to find clarity, peace, even when things feel really tough inside or out.
And, the material makes a really important point. This practice isn't just for, spiritual seekers or monks meditating on a mountaintop.
Right.
It's for everyone, especially those navigating our busy modern world.
I completely agree. It's a universal tool for well-being. Mindful breathing, it has these deep roots in spiritual traditions, but its benefits, they're truly universal. And let's be honest, so many of us are living with this chronic low-level stress, and mindful breathing offers a really simple, really effective way to counteract that. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are, your background, it's a fundamental human tool.
And it's not just based on, anecdotal evidence or ancient stories. The material actually points to a lot of scientific validation. It talks about how controlled breathing activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which then promotes relaxation and reduces stress.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It cites studies showing benefits like, lower cortisol levels, improved cognitive function, even enhanced emotional resilience with just 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
It really is. And what's so exciting is how modern science is confirming what ancient wisdom has known for centuries. That direct connection between your breath and your nervous system, it's been documented. Slow, deep breathing, it literally tells your body, it tells your brain, hey, we're safe. And that shifts you out of that fight or flight mode into rest and digest. Just a few minutes of focused, slow breathing can actually lower your heart rate and reduce those stress hormones.
It's a tangible physical change.
Exactly.
The material then asks us to think about, when was the last time we truly paid attention to our own breath? It's a good question to ask ourselves.
It is, and it highlights how breathing is so automatic, right?
I just don't think about it.
It's so essential, but we rarely give it a second thought. But consciously bringing your attention to it, even for a short time, it can be surprising. It's like you're noticing a friend who's always been there, but you've never really acknowledged them.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. And then the material shares this really relatable story about a woman named Maya. She's this high-powered corporate executive dealing with burnout, feeling dissatisfied.
Oh, I remember Maya.
And she finds relief by incorporating mindful breathing into her routine, just 5 minutes a day. And it makes a big difference.
Maya's story is a great example, right?
Okay.
Of how small, consistent changes can be transformative. She didn't have to overhaul her entire life to start experiencing benefits. It was just those few minutes each day. And it created this ripple effect, improving her stress, her sleep, her overall well-being, mindful breathing. It's accessible no matter how busy you are.
It is. It shows that the real power is often in the simplicity and consistency. It's not about grand gestures. It's about those small, regular moments of connection with our breath.
I love that. It's about cultivating this gentle, consistent awareness, something that gradually becomes part of your everyday life. It's not about achieving some perfect state. It's about just observing what's happening in the present moment, breath by breath, without judgment.
And the first part concludes with this really beautiful thought. Each mindful breath can illuminate our consciousness, revealing these hidden aspects within us, and that even 10 minutes can yield huge returns.
Wow.
It's a nice reminder that our breath is always there, a constant companion and guide.
Beautiful.
And now in part 2, we delve into this concept of prana, this idea of a life force within.
Yes. We're going beyond just the physiological aspect of breathing, right? Beyond just oxygen exchange.
Right.
The material introduces this idea of prana, this vital, life-giving energy that's central to Eastern philosophies like yoga and Buddhism. It's more than just air, it's this fundamental energy that sustains all living beings. And mindful breathing, it's a way to connect with and harness this energy.
And it explains the Sanskrit roots of the word prana, right? Pra meaning forward or onward, and an meaning movement or life. So it suggests this dynamic flow that connects us not just to ourselves, but to the whole universe.
And that aligns beautifully with the Buddhist principle of interdependence.
It really does.
It emphasizes that we're not isolated. We are all interconnected with everything. It's like prana represents this energetic web, this life force that runs through it all. So conscious breathing, it becomes a way to tap into this larger energetic field, and it not only increases vitality within yourself, but it deepens your connection to the world around you.
I love that. And again, we see this convergence with modern neuroscience. The material talked about how controlled breathing affects the autonomic nervous system, activating the vagus nerve, which leads to these calming effects, reduced anxiety, improved focus. It's amazing.
It is.
And it really emphasizes that signal the brain receives. I am safe. I am calm.
It's like our breath is sending this direct message to our nervous system.
Right.
And that's the bridge, isn't it, between this ancient wisdom and modern science. The vagus nerve, it's key in regulating our stress response. Slow, deep breathing. It stimulates this nerve, sending signals of safety throughout your body. So this physiological mechanism explains why mindful breathing can have such a huge impact on our mental and emotional state.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it's great that the material emphasizes that this isn't an either-or situation. Mindful breathing offers benefits from both spiritual and scientific perspectives.
Exactly. Whether you're approaching it from a philosophical desire for inner peace or from wanting to reduce stress and improve your focus, the benefits are real. It speaks to something fundamental about being human, our breath, and how powerfully it influences our well-being.
And then he uses this really lovely metaphor. Your mind is like fertile soil, and mindful breathing, it's the act of tending a garden.
I love that.
Me too. You know, planting those seeds of intention with each inhale, watering them with your awareness on each exhale, creating space for these positive qualities to grow. It's a powerful image of actively cultivating our inner landscape.
It is. And it highlights how we can actively shape our internal world. Just like a gardener carefully nurtures their plants, providing the right conditions for growth, mindful breathing allows us to nurture those positive qualities within ourselves: peace, clarity, resilience.
And what's so amazing is how accessible it is.
Right.
No cost involved.
Exact.
No special equipment needed. You can do it anywhere, even when everything around you feels chaotic.
It's true. That's one of the things that makes it so powerful. It's a tool that's always available to you. You don't need a specific time. You don't need a quiet place. You can practice it while you're in traffic, standing in line, even in the middle of a hectic workday.
Now, there's another story in the material about Hiroshi, a Japanese businessman. He was overworked, completely exhausted.
Oh, yes, Hiroshi.
And he found a way to overcome it through Zen meditation, focusing on his breath. And it led to huge improvements in his mood, his relationships, even his productivity.
Right, and he did it through these short pauses for breath. It really shows you don't need to set aside huge chunks of time for meditation. It's about weaving those little moments of awareness into your everyday activities, those brief pauses to reconnect with your breath. They're like little resets, helping you manage stress better and really just function better in all areas of your life.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the material explains that through mindful breathing, we learn to respond to situations instead of just reacting impulsively.
Yes.
We learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them.
Yeah, actually.
And it's as we start to embrace this idea of impermanence, the ever-changing nature of reality. It's such a fundamental concept in Buddhism.
It really is. And your breath, it becomes your teacher. By watching that natural flow, inhale, exhale, the pause, you begin to understand that everything changes. Your thoughts, your feelings, they arise, they pass away, just like your breath. And you cultivate this detachment that allows you to respond to life's ups and downs with more clarity, less emotional reactivity. You start to see that everything is transient, everything comes and goes.
And then the material gets into some specific techniques.
Yeah.
It talks about the 4-7-8 breathing technique, a really useful tool for dealing with acute stress or insomnia.
It's a very simple but effective technique.
Yeah. Could you remind us how to do it?
Of course. So you start by exhaling completely through your mouth, making a whooshing sound. Then you close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose to a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. And then you exhale completely through your mouth again for a count of 8, making that whooshing sound as you do. And you repeat that cycle, usually about 4 times. It's the extended exhale that really helps activate that calming parasympathetic nervous system.
That's great. And then there's anapanasati.
Yes. Mindfulness of breathing.
Right. So it's all about observing the natural rhythm of your breath without trying to change it in any way. And you focus on the sensations of air moving in and out of your nostrils. And when your mind wanders, you just gently bring it back.
It's a foundational meditation practice. You're learning to be this quiet observer of your breath. You're not trying to achieve some special state or stop your thoughts completely. Just bring your attention to those physical sensations, the coolness of the air, the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe, and your mind will wander. That's normal. The practice is about gently noticing when that happens and bringing your attention back to your breath. It's like you're training a puppy, gently but persistently guiding it back to that chosen spot. And over time, you cultivate stillness, presence, and insight.
I like that analogy. The material also mentions practices like Tai Chi, Qigong, and yoga, where movement is combined with breath to create a harmonious flow of energy in the body.
It's amazing how the breath is so central to so many of these ancient practices.
It really is.
And these practices, they integrate that awareness and control of your breath with physical movements, which is great for flexibility and strength, but it also helps your mental clarity and your sense of inner peace.
Yeah, it's like a mind-body connection.
Yeah. Exactly. The coordinated breath and movement helps regulate the flow of energy, and it creates this deeper sense of balance and harmony within you.
And part two concludes by clarifying that the purpose of mindful breathing isn't to check out, to escape reality. It's about engaging with reality more fully, waking up from that autopilot mode so many of us live in, and ultimately cultivating greater peace. It's a really important distinction.
It is. It's not about avoidance or suppression, mindful breathing. It's about being more fully present and aware of your experience so you can engage with all of life, the good and the bad, with greater wisdom and clarity and with this deeper sense of inner calm.
And it ends with this beautiful image. Mindful breathing is like a lantern illuminating the path ahead, revealing these new possibilities. It encourages us to just breathe deeply and let that journey unfold. And that leads us perfectly into part three. It's called The Ripple Effect, from inner calm to outer success.
That's a great title.
It is. I love that idea that what happens within us can truly ripple outward and impact our external world.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that those benefits of inner calm, they don't stay inside. They create these positive ripples in how you interact with the world, how you make decisions, how you achieve your goals. It affects your success, your health, your overall happiness. It's just like that analogy of a pebble dropped into a still pond. That initial point of stillness creates these waves that spread out in all directions.
The first key point is about the intersection of stillness and action.
Oh.
It says that in Buddhism, stillness and action aren't opposites. They're actually complementary. And it uses the analogy of an archer, right? Pausing, taking aim, breathing deeply before releasing the arrow.
It's such a good analogy.
I know, it really highlights how that inner calm, that focus, actually allows for more effective action.
I think so too. True effectiveness often comes not from rushing into things, but from taking that time to create inner stillness and clarity. And that pause, that mindful breath, it allows for focus, for intention, and ultimately more skillful action. It's not about being paralyzed by stillness, it's about being empowered by it.
And then we have another inspiring story, this time about Sarah, an entrepreneur. She used a morning breathing practice to help her overcome self-doubt, to make better decisions, and to enhance her leadership. And it led to her finding success in her business, and also to a deeper sense of personal fulfillment.
Yeah, Sarah's story shows how powerful it can be in the professional world, right?
It really does.
It shows that cultivating inner peace can lay the foundation for outer success. By managing her anxiety, finding clarity and focus through mindful breathing, she could better navigate the challenges of her work and make good decisions. It really reinforces how important your inner state is for achieving your external goals.
Exactly. It really drives home the point that success begins from within.
Yeah.
Cultivating inner peace unlocks so much potential. It's such an empowering perspective.
It is. It shifts our focus away from always chasing external markers of success and reminds us to pay attention to what's going on inside. And when you cultivate inner peace, you tap into your inherent resources, your creativity, your resilience.
It's amazing. And then we delve into the science behind the magic once again. The material explains that mindfulness practices like focusing on your breath can actually lead to structural changes in the brain.
It's incredible, right?
It is. It talks about increased gray matter in areas related to memory, empathy, emotional regulation, and reduced activity in the amygdala, that part of the brain associated with the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And it mentions neuroplasticity, the ability of our brain to change and rewire itself. It really makes the case for the long-term benefits of mindful breathing.
Absolutely. It's not just about feeling calm in the moment. It's about creating lasting changes. Mindful breathing can change the structure and function of your brain to support greater well-being, better cognitive function, and more resilience to stress. It's amazing to think that we have the power to shape our minds and our experiences through practices like this.
And we come back to that river metaphor, where the bridge of mindful breathing helps us gain a new perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed by the turbulence, we learn to see it as a natural flow.
Yeah, and we approach our challenges with curiosity instead of fear.
Right. It's a really nice way to bring everything together.
It is. It shows how mindfulness changes our perspective. Instead of getting swept away by challenges, we learn to observe them with detachment, understanding their impermanent nature. And that allows us to respond with more skill and wisdom instead of just reacting out of fear or anxiety.
And then we get some really practical advice. A blueprint for lasting change that gives us concrete steps for incorporating all of this into our lives.
It's great to have some actionable steps, right?
Absolutely. The first is start small, stay consistent. Begin with just 5 to 10 minutes a day, ideally at the same time in a quiet space. The key is to be consistent rather than aiming for perfection right away.
Yeah. Small steps, consistency. That's how you build any lasting habit. It's much better to commit to a short practice every day than to do these long sessions here and there and then burn out. Even 5 minutes of mindful breathing can make a difference over time.
The next tip is combine breath with intention. So pair your breathing with affirmations like saying, I am calm, or I release tension. Or visualize positive qualities aligning with that Buddhist concept of metta, or loving kindness.
Yeah. It's like you're taking an active role in shaping your inner experience.
It is.
You're not just passively observing. You're intentionally directing your mind, planting seeds of positivity.
I love that. And then there's this very practical suggestion. Leverage technology wisely. Use those mindfulness apps like Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer.
Yeah, they can be really helpful, especially when you're getting started.
Exactly. They are for those guided meditations and structure and sometimes a sense of community. The next point is to extend mindfulness beyond meditation. It's about trying to integrate mindful breathing into everyday activities, commuting, eating, walking. It's really about fostering present moment awareness throughout your day.
And that's where the real shift happens, right?
I think so.
It's about a mindful way of being. You're more present and engaged in everything you do, not just when you're sitting in meditation.
And the final piece of advice is to celebrate progress, not perfection. It reminds us that personal growth isn't linear.
Right.
We need to acknowledge our efforts, celebrate the small wins, be kind to ourselves when we stumble.
Self-compassion is so important. We all have those days when our minds are busy or we get distracted. And that's okay. It's about recognizing how far you've come and being kind to yourself throughout the journey.
The very last section of the material is titled The Bigger Picture, a life of purpose and presence. And it explores this idea of enlightenment in Buddhism as a continuous process of awakening to the true nature of reality.
It's about peeling away those layers of ego and those conditioned beliefs
Exactly.
that often cloud our perception.
And it highlights how mindful breathing can help us do that.
It's fascinating how it connects the practical to the philosophical, right? It shows how mindfulness cultivates wisdom and helps us understand ourselves and the world more deeply.
Right. It's about seeing beyond our limited, egocentric perspectives and recognizing that we're all interconnected.
It's a beautiful perspective, and it reminds us that even those small positive actions can ripple outwards and create meaningful change.
It all ties back to that ripple effect.
It does, and it shows the ethical side of mindfulness. As you cultivate greater awareness, you naturally develop more empathy and compassion, and your actions have a more positive impact on the world.
It's so true. And the material ends by saying that mindful breathing is a doorway to a more authentic life. It says that true wealth isn't just about money, but it's about the richness of our presence. True health is about our overall vitality. And true happiness, it comes from that deep sense of inner alignment. What a beautiful way to sum it all up.
It really captures the whole picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of well-being,
Yeah.
and aligning it all with purpose and authenticity, being present in each moment.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. I feel like we've unpacked so much. It's incredible how such a simple act as breathing can be so powerful.
It really is. It's something we all have access to.
We do.
And the combination of ancient wisdom and modern science we've explored today, it shows how transformative it can be.
So as we wrap up, let's take one final deep breath together. Inhale fully and exhale slowly, releasing any tension you might be holding. Let that be a symbol of your commitment to embracing your life more fully. And remember, the path of transformation is a journey. And with each breath you take, you're moving closer to your true self.
Beautiful.
And a final thought. Every breath is a gift, every moment is an opportunity, and every choice shapes your destiny. May your path be illuminated by awareness, and may your positive impact ripple outwards. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Deep Dive.